In the mainstream in America and many other parts of the world, the term left has become associated both with supporters of reforms to increase equality of minorities, supporters of social democracy, and reforms like single-payer healthcare, and hardliners Stalinists who want to control everything you do and purge anyone who says that democracy is pretty cool. This is a type of strawman argument. A strawman argument is an argument in which you draw a caricature of an ideology or set of political beliefs, and then claim your opponent is a supporter of these beliefs because they subscribe to the ideology you claim supports these beliefs. However, I would argue that the specific characterization of the left is an even more efficient form of this argument. Here, usually a conservative who wants to stop a reform would claim that this reform is part of a leftist agenda. This agenda is never specified by the actual person making the argument because it has already been defined by many other people who seek to discredit people in favor of these reforms. And when people actually try to define the left, when arguing, they usually name all sorts of groups, usually starting with derogatory terms for people who seek further equality for minorities and ending with a group like Stalinists or Maoists. In the middle of these, you would find a combination of some political group and a word like thug or extremist. But this isn't even where it ends, because these terms have also already been defined by people who oppose them. Usually this is done less with an actual definition and more with rhetoric designed to spread fear and anger towards anything on the so-called left. Sometimes the person making this argument even calls groups like fascists or Nazis, which are very obviously on the far right, a part of the leftist agenda. This argument, which I would like to call the double strawman, can be very hard to argue against because you would have to explain that something is wrong, which the person making the argument most likely never said. If you want to see this argument being used firsthand, just watch some Fox News. They use and try to define it, like I explained before, a lot. Perhaps this now sounds similar to the concept of the culture war. That is one of the first things I thought of when writing the script. The culture war is the concept that in US politics and politics more broadly, there are two sides, the left and the right. Each have opinions on many topics, which are mostly shared by all members of these sides. But when did you last hear someone say, the evil fascist Nazi right-wing agenda wants to take over the world and take your freedom away? This shows that in our society, the right is viewed with far more respect in a way, in that the far-right groups aren't generalized into a caricature of totalitarianism. You can get serious backlash calling Trump a fascist, and there are actual people trying to defend the people who participated in the Charlottesville rally. We call these people alt-right now, because that sounds a lot less scary than Nazis. The Overton window has shifted so far to the right in the US that calling for universal healthcare can make you unelectable, and calling to bomb anyone the US doesn't like with no concern for civilians makes you president.